Hi, and welcome to another edition of Marlborough Cares. I'm Rosalind Baker from the Department of Human Services, and today my guest is Bill Minkle from SMOC. He's here to talk about our their fuel assistance programs. Bill, can you just tell them your full title?
Sure. My title is Division Director for Energy and Financial Assistance Programs at South Middlesex Opportunity Council.
Can you give our viewers a little background on SMOC?
Sure.
Exactly what it does?
I'd be delighted. We're a community action agency which was founded in 1965 as part of the Johnson years War on Poverty. So our mission basically is that of an anti-poverty agency, and what we do is provide services, programs, and advocacy to help the low-income and disadvantaged folks in the Metro West region.
That's wonderful. And you're based in SMOC, but there is a resource center here in Marlborough.
Right. The Marlborough Resource Center is a program within the South Middlesex Opportunity Council. Plus, we have offices located in Marlborough, other offices for other services located in Marlborough as well.
Yes. Okay.
So we have the Head Start program and the daycare program. So there's a lot of other programs available as well. So we have offices here, and the main offices, though, are located in Framingham.
Framingham. Okay, can you tell us a little bit about the fuel assistance program as we're going into our, well, we already are, into our colder months of the year. Can you talk a little bit about the program and how people go about it?
Sure, I'd be delighted. First of all, I want to thank you, Roz, because this is very, very timely for us to be here today, because the program opened for application intake officially on November 1st. So it's timely that we're here because people are now thinking about applying. We've had a very warm fall, so it's been wonderful.
Yeah.
People who were on the program last year, which we had 4,800 applications that we took last year.
Wow.
And all of those folks received a reapplication in the mail. So if you haven't sent in your application, I would certainly encourage folks to do that now. And because it's been warm, so people are not really thinking about the fuel assistance. And for new applications, we have a number of intake sites all over the 37 communities that we serve, which of course includes Marlborough. Folks in Marlborough can can call the Marlborough Resource Center and set up an appointment to have their application taken, or they can call, senior citizens in particular, can call the Council on Aging.
Okay, so there's 2 sites in Marlborough.
Two sites in Marlborough, correct.
Oh, that's good, okay. That'll help.
Okay, so when a person comes in to apply, it's a seasonal. First of all, let me just tell you a little bit about the program, a little background on the program.
Okay.
The program has been around since 1978 as part of the response to the escalating costs due to the oil embargo. So it's been around for a long time. It has been very well supported in the Congress. It's primarily a federally funded program. So the state receives the funds. The state agency receiving the funds is the Department of Housing and Community Development in Boston. And we operate the program among other operators locally in 37 communities. And it's a seasonal program. It runs from November 1st. And I say this generally because it can change from year to year. But generally speaking, it runs from November 1st to April 30th. And it's designed to help pay primary heating cost bills for eligible households. So basically what happens is a person would come in to apply. They would be determined eligible or ineligible. If eligible, then we would contact their vendor and we would arrange for deliveries if it happened to be delivered fuel, or we would pay directly the utilities for them. And we would be paying for heat usage in the heat season. So it's an assistance program to help people more or less through crises through the winter, to make sure that people are warm for the winter.
Okay. So, can you talk a little bit about what the application process, how long it takes for it to be approved, and how long people should wait and be patient? Because I know with 37 communities, you must get thousands of calls trying to, asking, where am I in the application process?
Yes, and we have a very small staff. And as I said, last year we took 4,800 applications, which I might add was very close to a 30% increase over the number of applications we took last year. The changing economy is dramatically affecting our intake, and the problem with that is that it is slowing the process down because I have the same amount of staff handling an enormous amount of calls and an enormous amount of clients that are eligible for the program and applying for the program. So we would ask that people be patient. Each individual would need to apply for assistance. They would need to contact the site, they'd need to set an appointment, and they would need to take certain information to that site. And what they would do is they would bring at least 30 days worth of income documentation, which would be pay stubs or a copy of their Social Security check if they happen to be elderly, or whatever their source is for at least the last 30 days. And generally, that's the basic requirement. There may be more required down the line once the application is reviewed, but at a minimum, they need to bring that. They would also need to bring Social Security numbers for all members of their household, regardless of age. So even a newborn baby, we would be looking for the Social Security number as well.
Okay.
They would need to bring proof of their heating bill. They would need to bring proof of their electric bill so that we could get their electric account number as well. They would need to bring a copy of a photo ID, and they would also need to bring address verification, which could be in the form of either a lease or in the form of a mortgage or tax bill. In essence, those are the basic requirements. Now, each family will be reviewed differently. What happens is when they come in with all of this material, they will provide this material to the intake worker. The intake worker at the site will take the application, fill out the application for them, collect all the documentation, and forward it to our office. From that point on, all contact would not be at the site. It would be actually at the office in Framingham.
Okay. So now, if somebody had their heat included in their rent, they're still eligible for field systems, correct?
If they're income eligible, it's an income eligibility program. And even though it's a primary heat program, the fact is that people whose heat are included in the rent actually are paying a higher rent because the heat's included.
Exactly.
So they too would be eligible. The payment would be a little bit different, but they too would be eligible. People in subsidized housing would also be eligible. They would receive a reduced benefit because the benefits are targeted towards the lowest income. The most benefit is received by the lowest income people that have the most vulnerability to heat costs. So that would be people who don't live in subsidized housing would actually receive a bigger benefit level based on income.
And it's based on income and family size? Is that?
And family size,
so
correct.
So those are the
Our
two?
income guidelines are based on that, right.
Okay, so people would just contact the site, fill out the application, and then they would have to wait. And the payments are made directly to the vendor?
Correct.
Right, okay, so you would make the contact to NSTAR or?
Correct. What we would
Mass
do
Electric?
is, once they've been determined eligible for the program, generally speaking too, I should say, it takes, we say 46 working days, which works out to roughly 60 days from the point of application.
Okay.
When the application gets forwarded, it takes roughly 60 days. So I would encourage people to get in earlier to apply, because it does take a long time to get it processed, just because of the backlog, because just the sheer volume causes it to take longer. Later in the season, the process, of course, would take less time. But certainly at this point in time, we're looking at least 60 days. So it's important that people do apply early, and with the understanding that that would be the case. Now, we will notify them once they are eligible, or ineligible if they need, or if they're incomplete, if they need to provide additional documentation. Because that initial step in the door is really an initial review. So there may be additional documentation that would be required, if, depending on living situations and things like that. So once the review is done, the first thing that we do is we notify the vendor. As soon as the eligibility is determined, we notify the vendor. And the reason for that is because that expedites the service to the client. Even before the client's notified, the vendor will be notified, because they can arrange deliveries and so forth. And then about a week later, we notify the client, so that the vendor will have the opportunity to work with the client to arrange deliveries and whatever is necessary.
Now, so you would what if somebody had a older bill? Would that the money would just go towards that bill or future bills? Because that's a question we get a lot. If they have an oil bill from last year that they couldn't take care of for whatever reason, a layoff or what have you, and they need oil, because as it gets colder, they need oil and they can't get a delivery because they have an outstanding bill. So you guys, if you contacted the company, or NSTAR, what have you, to get the services expedited so that they won't be cold. Is that something that you guys do if there's an emergency need, you'll call right away to?
Yes, we do. In cases of emergency, we do fast-track emergencies.
Okay.
Which we define as less than 1/8 of a tank of oil, or if there's a threatened final notice, shut-off notice, or 72-hour notice. That's an
Okay.
emergency. Those folks will get fast-tracked. Now, in terms of outstanding bills, it is a crisis-oriented program, so because it's crisis-oriented, it is for the upcoming season and for the current heating season. So we would really be more interested, the program's designed to pay for this heating season, not the past bills. Now, for delivered fuels, that would be like oil, fuels, and so forth, those bills we can't pay for any deliveries that occurred prior to November 1st. So they have to be current oil deliveries from November
Okay.
1st on. However, for the utility bills, for example, N-Star, Gas for Electric, N-Grid, or MECO, Mass Electric, we can pay arrearages. And we can pay arrearages provided that it will maintain the service or restore service if the client's already been shut off.
Okay, so that's one we get quite a bit
Right.
on, is the,
Yeah. It's been tough.
Yeah.
The bills skyrocketed and spiked last year in cost. And nowhere in our history had we seen utility bills like we had seen last year. The prices were just through the roof.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, fortunately the federal government had responded and there was additional funding. I mean, the nice thing about it is last year the benefit levels were very, very high. And part of the reason for that was an anomaly that had occurred. There was a lot of money left in the state last year, left over from the previous year, and there was money left over in the federal government. So they coupled that with additional funding, and we had very high benefit levels. We probably won't see benefit levels anywhere near that level this year. Last year, people could get up to $1,100 worth of assistance, depending on their eligibility limit.
Yeah.
And this year, right now, we're looking at a maximum of $675, which includes the high energy benefit.
Wow.
Right.
So that's a huge drop, but I'm sure
But it helps a lot.
it helps. Yeah, I'm sure
It
it
really
helps
helps
quite
a lot.
bit.
And the other thing that's very important about fuel assistance is when you apply for fuel assistance, it's a multi-purpose, multi-service application. Because there are other benefits that you receive, kind of hidden benefits, if you will, that you receive when you apply. Once you're determined eligible for the program, and our benefits go up to, our eligibility benefit levels go up to 200% of poverty. But for those who are under 175% of poverty, they may also receive discounts on their telephone bills and on their electric bills for a full year once the company has been notified.
Oh, okay.
So what we do is we will notify Verizon, and we will notify the electric company. In the case of Marlborough, it would be Mass Electric.
Yeah.
And what we would do is notify them of the eligibility if they're under 175% of poverty, and for 12 months from the point of eligibility that they kick in the discount, that discount will be good. It'll be usually around 10% discount. So it's an extra benefit that you receive by being eligible for fuel assistance. So it's not just the actual fuel assistance benefit that you receive.
So you guys will hook them up with whatever services
Exactly.
that they would be eligible to help with the
Exactly.
cost.
And in March, that same group, under 175% of poverty, may also be eligible for the low-income sewer and water assistance program, which the program also serves as an application for that as well. In March, we look at those people that pay for both their water and sewerage, and it's a kind of complicated formula that's used, but if they're eligible, we'll notify them of their eligibility, have them send the bills, and we may be able to pay a portion of their bills for the full year of water and sewer
okay,
usage
that's good.
as well. So it's a multi-purpose application, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of benefits by applying.
You've been using the term 100% 200% poverty level. Can you just explain a little bit about that, just because I don't think the viewing audience might know that it's
Sure.
that they're federal.
Sure,
kind of
we say
guidelines.
that eligibility is determined based on income guidelines. And what happens is our benefits are broken up. First of all, the income guidelines are set by the federal government
Okay.
in terms of the poverty level. So it's a federal standard of poverty that they use, it's applied nationally. So the federal government sets that standard. And the state of Massachusetts has the option of going up to 200% of poverty or 60% of the median, whichever choice they take. And in Massachusetts, we recently, in the last 2 years, have elected to actually go up to 200% of poverty. Prior to that, it was 175%. So that's why a lot of these other programs were geared to legislatively only the 175%. The language has not been changed. That's why there's a difference. There's a small group of people that are eligible between that 176 and 200% of poverty that would not be eligible for these discounts, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because the law hasn't caught up to.
Yeah, legislation hasn't caught up to what the state is taking.
Right, the lead that the state has taken,
has
correct.
taken with that. So what do you expect to have the same amount of applications this year or more?
We're actually expecting an increase.
An increase this year, okay. How much of an increase did you get last year?
Last year, we had a 29% increase in intake. There was roughly 1,100 applications more than the previous year.
Wow.
And I always say that the fuel assistance program is a barometer for our economy. At least it has been for me for the last 20-plus years I've been running the program. And that's because whenever the economy starts to fall, Metro West seems to be the leader in the state in terms of supplying jobs. This is where the jobs really are. So our numbers fluctuate based on our economy. So when I see the numbers going up, I know the economy is not doing too well, which for the last year, of course, we saw. And I fully expect that we could go up by as much next year, too, this heating season.
About
Yeah.
20%, wow.
I would not be surprised. So I would not be surprised if we took another 1,000 above the number we took last year.
And you have 2 people in Marlborough doing it. That is a lot of work.
Right. But remember that the people, that the applications and the people that were on the program or had applied last year did receive them in the mail, and they're going directly to Framingham.
So they should just
So that
send
wouldn't
them
have
right
the
in.
impact, right. So they should definitely be able to get appointments in the Marlborough area and get their applications taken. So there would not be a huge wait.
So when people call my office and ask if they, for the fuel assistance number, I can just ask them if they were on the program last year, and ask them if they received a letter.
Yes, and if they
stating-
didn't, if they say they either didn't receive it or have lost it or whatever, they can simply call the office and we'll remail it to them. They
That's
don't need to
good,
go
okay.
back to one of the sites to start the whole process new again.
Yeah,
So there are 4,800 people that received their reapplications in
that's
the
good.
mail.
So that'll, so you're just basically dealing with the increase.
Right.
Or the
Correct.
new applicants this year.
Correct.
Well, that's good, though, so that'll help.
That helps, yeah,
That'll
that
help.
helps the sites a lot. And I have to say that we're extremely grateful to the sites. Marlborough in the Resource Center is a smart staff site, but we're also grateful to the Council on Aging also for helping to take some of the applications. It's very helpful for the clients for access for the program. It's a real important thing. The other thing I also want to say is that, there is a lot of information, a lot of documentation that we require. And it's important for those people who have some fears about coming in, because it's a lot of personal information, and not to be afraid to share that, because we have a separate database that no one has access to. A lot of the information that we ask for is just for statistical purposes, because as a community action agency, we're required by the federal government to collect statistics and to do needs analysis. And that's a lot of what these statistics are about. So it's really important that people understand that their application is taken in confidence, and that we, in fact, will maintain and deeply respect the confidence. So no one has access to the information that they give us. It's forwarded from the site and is held and maintained in locked files in our office in Framingham. And that's important to know.
Yeah, I think that's very good, because people who, this is the first time they're coming for help, may be
Exactly.
reluctant because they don't want their name. put
Never
back.
been in a
That's good.
situation like that before. They don't
Exactly.
understand. And many people feel very embarrassed to have to come in and ask for help. It's a last resort for a lot of people. They do everything they can to try not to come in. But we treat people with dignity and respect, and that's true in the sites, and it's true in our office as well. And also for folks, so that they also have some access to, we have an automated voice retrieval system, so that people can call and navigate their way through the voice retrieval system to get information on their own account that they personally can access. And that information is available to the recipient 24 hours a day.
How often is it
7 days a week.
updated?
It's updated every day.
Oh, that's good, so they can, if
So
they're,
they can check through the system to see if they have become eligible yet.
instead of waiting for a person to answer
Right,
the phone.
yeah, right, exactly.
Okay, in case of an emergency heat, they should wait, they should try to get a hold of a
They
person.
should, yes, they should definitely navigate through the system and get hold of a person, absolutely.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit about Citizens Energy? Now, do you guys do that program through
Yes, we do.
SMOC? Okay, I know you guys were doing that last year. I wasn't sure if you're doing it this year. Can you talk a little bit about that and the difference?
I'd be delighted to. The Citizens Energy Program is a wonderful additional resource to the fuel assistance program. It's also a resource that's available for people that are not eligible for the fuel assistance program. For example, when someone calls into the office, and they're determined not to be eligible for the program, and they have oil, number 2 oil, which is the standard oil, we would automatically refer them to the Citizens Energy Program. For folks who have used up all of their fuel assistance benefit, we also refer them directly to the program. Now, they can call the office. We would take the application in the office. It's a very simple process, a few questions over the phone, and then the vendor is notified, participating vendors are notified that this person is eligible. The difference between the fuel assistance program is we, through the fuel assistance program, are paying bills directly to the vendor. The Citizens Energy Program, there is a copay on behalf of the client. The client would have to pay 50% of the average weekly fee, now, per gallon. And that is set by Citizens Energy. And that would all be arranged through the vendor. What we would do at the end of every day, we would notify the vendor through a fax, and they would arrange the delivery with the client. That is not an emergency program, so it could even take as much as a week before that delivery actually occurs.
Okay, are there other avenues if somebody's in an emergency situation and they're not eligible for fuel assistance?
The other option, one other major option that's available is the Good Neighbor Fund. In Marlborough, they can apply for the Good Neighbor Fund through the Marlborough Resource Center
Yes.
as well. So that's another avenue. The United Way, local churches, there are other avenues that folks could provide, could pursue.
Okay, so Citizens Energy, that's not a federally, that's a private, is that a private
That
foundation?
is a private, nonprofit agency that is, the executive director is Joe Kennedy. And he is the one that heads that up. So they also have a call center that they have statewide as well. So they could call us, the 800 number, the 1-800-JOE-FOR-OIL number
Okay.
as well.
What other kinds of programs for fuel are there, or what other kind of programs does your division do?
My division also has some heating system assistance. If somebody came in and applied for the program and they were in a heating emergency because their heating system wasn't working, we could have, for eligible households, we could actually have one of our staff people go out. We have a licensed burner technician on staff. And he would go out and find out what the problem is, or arrange for a vendor, a paid licensed vendor, to go out and find out what the problem is, and we may be able to assist with that. We do actual heating system replacements up to $2,250.
Okay.
So that's one service that's available. So if anybody that was eligible for the fuel assistance program also had problems with the heating system, they could contact us. Another program that we actually have a myriad of energy conservation programs that some are utility funded, some are federally funded. There's a myriad of resources available out there for energy conservation. And it's similar. We have licensed contractors on staff that would go out, auditors, energy auditors. Actually, I should say certified, not licensed. You're not licensed in Massachusetts, you're certified. So we have certified folks on staff as well as consultant folks that work for us that we have trained. They will go out, they'll perform an energy audit, make determination of the need to tighten up the house, and also some education, because some simple lifestyle changes can actually reduce your cost of your energy. So we do some simple education as well. And so after that, then we would arrange for licensed contractors, licensed and fully insured contractors to go out and perform the actual conservation measures that were determined. They would be completed by the contractors and inspected by our staff before we would pay the vendor. So we've been doing this program for a long time. This is all free of charge to eligible households. It's a wonderful service. And we have done a lot of studies on this as well, and have determined that a minimum of, when a house is fully weatherized and our services have been made available, at a minimum, houses will usually receive at least a 25% reduction in actual consumption, energy consumption. So it's kind of a long-term solution to reducing costs.
So you guys, so that's what you go out and you kind of try to help people figure out where their problems are lying or ways to reduce their heating
Exactly.
costs. So, you know, just to, you know, I want to go back a little bit. With the fuel assistance now, the oil prices went up. I think it was last year. It was last year that
Yes.
they went so high?
Well, 2 years ago, they skyrocketed 2 years ago.
Okay,
They kind of leveled off towards the middle of last year.
And there was extra money brought into the program last year that
Correct.
won't be there. Well, we don't know if it'll be there. And
Right.
the program ran a little longer last year, didn't
Yes, we ran it into May.
it? Okay, so we went to May 30th rather than
Right.
April 30th. That's good, at least I'm glad.
Yeah,
they were
it
able
was
to-
extended, which was wonderful, because last year, the problem really was the utility costs. The utility prices just went crazy.
Yeah, it was, we
People
had,
really struggled. I mean, middle-class people, people with means struggled with bills last year.
I had people, like, for example, I had somebody come to my office probably about a month ago, worried because their gas bill was so high that they couldn't take care of it. Their gas was shut, they had no gas.
Mhm.
They have children in the home, and the gas is shut off, and now we're heading into our cold snap, and like you said, luckily it's been warm. We had a
Exactly.
warm fall. And they were so worried about being able to get it turned back on. So we kind of worked with the Resource Center in Marlborough and kind of pieced together enough money to get it, you know, to help. Once they were able to apply for fuel assistance, they would hopefully be able to get it back on before it got
Sure.
really, really cold.
That's wonderful. I should tell you, too, that during the heating season, just for the record, people that are eligible for fuel assistance cannot be terminated during the heating season between November 15th and April 15th.
April 15th.
April 15th, right.
Oh, I thought it was, that's good. That is
Sure.
really good to know, because I thought it was end of March, so that's
It
good.
used to be March 15th, and they've extended that to April
Oh,
15th.
that's good, and that's,
Thank
yeah, because
thank
it's,
the Lord.
because, you know, with our kind of work, you know, you kind of worry about people when they come in. You know,
Absolutely.
you take that home with you sometimes, and it's difficult to not worry about
Exactly.
people, so. But,
Because you see people struggle,
yeah, people who never thought they would struggle ever.
and I strongly encourage them to apply.
Yeah. Well, Bill, thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming.
Roz.
And I'm delighted to have you. And this has been Marlborough Cares. Thank you, and join us again.